It's not mad, I'm just disappointed.
I'm so glad I was recording. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Radiovania, episode number 24, your nerdy public radio for all things entertainment and pop culture. My name is Zach Ritello, at Zach Ritello on Twitter, and sitting across from me is the always delightful John Swansong Parker. How you doing, buddy?
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Long week. We had a bit of a separation there. It was we haven't seen each other really since the last episode.
Yeah. Time apart always makes you stronger, though, you know?
Yeah, it makes the heart grow fonder, as we said on last week's episode.
Did we say that last time?
Yeah, we did say that the last time, too.
We really don't hang out at all. We just meet up once a week to do this.
And make out.
Uh-huh.
So, things have been going on. Today is our review of Suicide Squad. We just got back from the 8:30 showing at Regal and Mason. We got thoughts on it. We got opinions. I've got a list of notes and things and bullet points to talk about. But before we jump into that, we're not going to go through the news. It's going to be basically just a review episode. Pretty short. We're going to try to keep it as short and brisk as we possibly can. You've been reading Harry Potter, the new one.
Yeah, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, Cursed.
And
I think it's the correct term.
You said a very salient thing to me when we got out of the car. You said, it's definitely
my eighth favorite Harry Potter story.
And
yeah.
So it's not great.
It's good. It's definitely worth checking out, especially if you're a huge Harry Potter fan and a fan of the universe, as I am.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see the Fantastic Beasts movies when those come out and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I thought it was interesting that this is going on right when they're trying to build excitement for that new story, where they're kind of like, oh, by the way, all those characters that you wanted to see in this film that's coming up, here's a play about them. And, it takes place 19 years after where the seventh story ends, which is kind of like where that epilogue leads into, and that's basically where the story starts. So.
Okay. So, short, spoiler-free review. What do you got?
Has a lot of your favorite characters, as well as some new ones. A lot of the new ones I was a huge fan of. However, I think overall, it doesn't hold up as well as the other 7 books. I think it's just maybe the style is different. That might be it. But there's just some lines in the story that I just don't think are like that great or powerful or emotion. And by the time I was done reading it, I wasn't as emotionally invested as I was when reading the other series.
Even though it is in script form, how much of it feels like J.K. Rowling?
None.
Really? That's really
what I think it was. I think
0%.
it was some guy had a pitch and she okayed it, and then they put her name on the book to sell it.
Okay.
It does not feel like her at all.
None of the dialogue really.
The conversations between characters feel nothing like they do in the Harry Potter.
Wow, that's
books.
a huge negative for me.
Yep.
I'm interested to read it, nonetheless. But so
and I could be unintentionally biased. I have no idea. So you'll have to let me know what you think of. But that's just because I was talking to my mom about it.
Did your mom read it?
Yeah,
too?
she actually finished it before I did. She's a big Harry Potter fan. She read all the books, saw all the movies and stuff like that, and we have, I think, the same opinions on it.
Okay.
We're it's good, it's not great, it's different, but it's worth the time. It doesn't take long to read through it either. So,
if somebody was not a fan of Harry Potter, is this going to change their opinions?
No.
Okay. So if somebody was not into Harry Potter and they heard all these cool things about the Cursed Child and they go and pick it up, nah?
There's an audience out there somewhere for it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's I like this better than Harry Potter, but to those people I'd say you're crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, before we dive into the review, I wanted to say that I finally have been playing The Witcher. Borrowed Michael Richards' copy, at Hard as Mike on Twitter, shout out. And I finally got back into it. It took me a while, and I'm really enjoying it. Really good. The story is kind of bonkers, but I'm really enjoying the mechanics of the game, and the world is really pretty. It almost makes me wish that CD Projekt Red could get the license to Lord of the Rings, because Shadow of Mordor was not what I wanted it to be, but I kind of had Stockholm Syndrome with it, where I was playing it and I realized halfway through, I was like, I'm not really enjoying myself. I paid $10 for it, so I didn't pay $59.99 at launch. But, It's fun. It makes me want to watch Lord of the Rings every time I finish the sesh. Also, Batman the Telltale series just launched this past week. Have you gotten a chance to play it?
No.
I'm looking forward to sitting down and playing it. Carly, would you like to join in and play that with me sometimes?
She's nodding. Yeah.
She's nodding? Yep. I don't know if the microphone picked up that, but yeah.
She's not actually here.
But I'm excited to play that. It looks fantastic.
Did you buy it at all?
No, I think I'm just going to get the seasons pass because I'm going to want to play every episode, and I want to do the thing where our story is different, so I want to contrast it to what the things that you did with, and so when the season is over, we can have a review of Batman.
Should I just take the Affleck approach and kill everybody?
Take the Affleck approach.
I wonder if that's even an option. It's like kill the Joker, send him to Arkham, kiss the Joker.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Kiss the Joker. Well, we'll see about Joker kisses in a second. But on to Suicide Squad.
Yeah. Suicide Squad.
From Polygon.com, Suicide Squad sets the record with 20.5 million in Thursday screenings. From Sami Sankar, it says, despite a sea of negative reviews, Warner Brothers' Suicide Squad has pulled in 20.5 million at the domestic box office from Thursday night showings, the best Thursday night haul ever for a film opening in the month of August. Suicide Squad obliterated the previous August record holder, which was Marvel Studios' Guardians of the Galaxy. That film will be making a few more appearances in this discussion, which made 11.2 million in 2014. So 20.5 versus 11.2. IMAX screenings of Suicide Squad pulled 2.4 million, 12% of the total gross. None of the movie, by the way, was shot with IMAX cameras. As for Suicide Squad, how it stacked up against the other DC Comics superhero films previous nights, it came in at number 3, following The Dark Knight Rises at 30.6 million and Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice at 27.7 million dollars. So it did well on Thursday, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Now, box office from yesterday, from The Hollywood Reporter by Pamela McClintock. It says box office Suicide Squad opens to big 133.7 million, but drops sharply on Saturday. The final number is down from Sunday's estimated 135 million, but the anti-superhero film still easily beats Guardians of the Galaxy to nab the top August domestic debut of all time, while opening to 133.3 million overseas. Blah, 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 yay. Yeah, okay, so it's making money, but it looks like the Warner Brothers tentpole playing in 4,255 theaters would debut to 145 to 150 million, but traffic slowed dramatically throughout Saturday, or 41% day over day. A far steeper drop than any other successful superhero movies. 2012's The Dark Knight Rises also dropped 41%, but that movie was impacted by the Aurora shooting. So, it made some money, and now it's not making so much money.
Yeah.
And a part of that, at least The Hollywood Reporter is saying, is due to the Rotten Tomatoes score, which, have you seen it recently?
It's in the 20s, right?
Sitting at a 26 right now.
So that's just below Batman v Superman by like 1%.
What was Batman v Superman's?
27, I think, is where it's sitting right now. You can look that up if you want, though.
Okay, I am going to look that up. Vamp. So tell me about the money. Do you think...
Yeah, well, I think they had estimated it to make about 160 million over its opening weekend. And, they had projected it to be like that just based on, their marketing scheme, which, say what you want about the movie, Warner Brothers killed the marketing with it as opposed to when they didn't do so well trailer-wise with Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. I think all the trailers were really well received, and it really hyped people to see this movie. They showed up to Comic-Con a couple weeks ago, and they're like, hey, Hall H, we know you're excited about this. We have a little more things to show you, and just to keep people excited for it, which I think they've done a good job of doing that, just to get people there for that opening weekend, which they succeeded.
You were absolutely right. Batman v Superman currently sits at 27%, average rating of 4.9 out of 10. Suicide Squad has an average rating of 4.7 out of 10 with 261 reviews. Batman v Superman has 344 reviews. Do you agree with the Rotten Tomatoes score for Suicide Squad? Because, don't answer quite yet, because when we did our Batman v Superman review, you said that you didn't agree with the Rotten Tomatoes score, which I don't think was this low when we did our review.
When we reviewed Batman v Superman, I think that was opening weekend for it. I think it was still sitting in like the 30s to 40s
okay.
Percentage-wise.
Now, my prediction, as you recall, on the previous, maybe even our last episode, I think, was the last episode where I said this.
What? For
that Suicide Squad was going to land in the 70s.
Yeah, and I thought it was going to get higher than that. Like a lot higher, like in the 80s.
Ouch.
Yeah.
So do you agree
We
with
both took big punches here.
So we got out of the theater, got in the car, we enjoyed a little bit of small talk or whatever, but we
Sure.
saved most of our reservations because I love this moment. This is the moment I live for.
Okay.
I love discussing movies with friends. This is what I live for.
Sure.
Now, do you agree with this 26%?
No.
What would you suggest is a more applicable rating? What's the John Parker rating?
60%.
60%.
Here's the deal. These are still comic book characters that are being put out on screen, which I think is, it's awesome that they can keep doing this and they have all these all summer, and that's what drives people to go see the movies is there's always these big blockbuster comic book movies. With the exception of 2014's Fantastic Four, I don't think there's an actual comic book movie that I would say isn't at least 50% good. There's always something salvageable from it, in my opinion. And like this movie, as much as it disappointed me, there are some parts of it that I was really happy with. So.
I agree. I don't agree completely with you.
I don't think this is just like they're absolutely just like destroying this movie. Like you said, it's an average of like a 4 out of 10, stuff like that. And it's just percentage wise, it looks worse than it actually is. Like when you say it's like almost a 5 out of 10, that makes more sense to me.
It's just because of the conglomeration of reviews.
Yeah.
Now, that is what brings me to the next piece of news-ish that I want to talk about is from change.org. There's a petition that has been making the rounds. If you've read about this, right? Okay. Yeah, we texted about it briefly.
Mm-hmm.
Set up by Abdullah Coldwater from Alexandria, Egypt. I might be butchering a lot of this information, but I do want to let people know about this. Don't Listen to Film Criticism is the title of the change.org petition, which currently has 22,195 supporters out of their goal, quote unquote, of 25,000. The petition that they have here, it says, in short, there's a disconnect between critics and audiences. You may enjoy a movie regardless of what the critics say about it. We must get the people to know that criticism is not the measure of the quality of movies, it's just the opinions of the critics. Sign the petition. And the petition is however you want to spin it, and they're trying to spin it in a specific way for their movement, if you want to call it a movement, which that's not what I would. You have so much. There are so many better things you can do with your time, people. They want to shut down sites like Rotten Tomatoes, to make sure that fans enjoy their movies more because they're not hamstrung by looking at these critics' reviews and then forming their opinions before they see the movie. This is asinine.
Oh yeah,
on a level of which I can't even describe to you. I may not
it's
agree
just silly.
with. Yeah. I may not agree with some of the Rotten Tomatoes scores. In fact, one of my not all-time favorites, but one of the coolest movies I've seen in the past decade was The Book of Eli, and that thing has like a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Does it really?
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna go.
That is surprisingly low for that movie because I thought that was more like universally loved, or not maybe universally, but I thought that had a larger audience of people that liked it.
Oh, definitely. 48%. Okay,
so that's not bad. That sounds a lot better. You know what I mean?
But 48% is not. That movie's totally like a great B movie.
You should look up your favorite film and ours, Batman and Robin. Just check that percentage score real quick because I'm pretty sure it's at least Suicide Squad isn't as bad as that.
Batman and Robin has an 11%.
Yeah, see, there you go.
You know what killed the dinosaurs?
It's just I'm not going to finish the quote.
Age.
Yeah, I don't want to join in on that at all.
But yeah, so I just wanted to bring up the attention to the petition. You think it's ridiculous?
Oh, it's absolutely ridiculous. If you're forming your opinions before you go see a movie based off of a film critic who gets paid to analyze movies, good and bad, and let's say Suicide Squad doesn't stack up to Schindler's List because it's way far off, like you can't just listen to what these people say. You have to form your own opinion.
Well, you have to form your own opinion, and you also have to take into account that these people are reviewing movies. They're not reviewing comic book movies. They're not reviewing dramas. They're reviewing everything as the quality of the... Nice ice shake.
Was that loud?
That was a little bit loud, yeah.
Sorry.
Hey, don't worry about it.
But I mean, like, if you go to like websites like IGN, where like some of these, where the comic book industry is more like, taken in, their review is like a 5.9 out of 10, which sounds a lot better than a 26%.
Yeah. And like we just said, it is the conglomeration of review scores. I'm going to read this directly from the Rotten Tomatoes thing. It says, the critics' consensus, Suicide Squad boasts a talented cast and a little more humor than previous DCEU efforts, but they aren't enough to save the disappointing end result from a muddled plot, thinly written characters, and choppy directing. Of course, Suicide Squad comes in at 123 minutes long, directed and written by David Ayer, starring Will Smith as Deadshot, Jared Leto as Joker, Margot Robbie, and we'll go through the cast here in just a few seconds. I've got some serious problems with this movie.
Yeah, definitely. Where do you want to start?
Well, I'll start by saying that I think a 26% is justified. I do think that this is a failure of a movie. I don't think that it got across the message that it was intending to get across.
Well, it felt like three different like styled movies into one. Like it opens out with like neon lights and all this crazy shots, and it shows like statistics for each character and stuff like that. And like that was an interesting direction to take it. And then it completely switches in the second act. And then by the time you get to the third act, it's like the Return of the Mummy. Or something like that. You know what I mean? With Brendan Fraser. It's like three different movies.
It really is three different movies. And I don't know if you got this sense, but when I was watching the third act, when they were battling Enchantress and whatever that other guy was, does that person have a name? The brother?
I have no idea.
You don't know?
No.
Even DC Comics expert
I
John
have no idea.
Parker doesn't have an answer. I was thinking like this feels more like an X-Men movie.
I didn't even
think it does.
No, it feels like X-Men Apocalypse. It
Yeah.
didn't even feel like an X-Men movie because X-Men Apocalypse. X-Men Apocalypse doesn't feel like an X-Men movie.
But it still has that like ensemble feel.
Yeah, but this felt to me like a really bad archaeology movie with Will Smith at the head
Starring
of it.
Will Smith.
Yeah.
Will Smith plays Brendan Fraser in The Mummy. Yeah,
I would be okay with that reboot. That sounds pretty entertaining, actually. Take an MIB approach to like the mummy hunting genre.
That's gangsta.
Isn't Tom Cruise in the next Mummy for the Universal Monsters?
Is he?
Yeah, you didn't hear about this?
No, I didn't. I don't know.
I hope he plays the mummy, so they have this little short mummy chasing them around. That'd be awesome.
What's your Tom Cruise impression? Hit me with
I don't have one, dude.
You did a Tom Cruise impression on the late night episode that we just got done editing.
Did I really?
Yeah. You totally did.
No, I did not.
This would be a nice time to insert that Radiovania is a weekly podcast we post on iTunes and YouTube. You can go to radiovania.com because I totally forgot to plug this in the beginning. You can email the show at radiovaniashow@gmail.com. You can tweet me at Zach Ortelli. You can tweet John at John Parker. Tweet Hard as Mike at Twitter. Give him hell. All right.
Yeah, I don't remember Tom Cruise impression. I'll work on one, though.
Yeah, you totally did one. Or maybe it was Austin. I couldn't tell. I don't think Austin does impressions, though. Okay,
tries.
so I'm going to go through a few of my problems for this before we get into a few of the rumors things. Music. What in the living was going on with the music in this movie?
It was all over the place.
It was terrible.
Yeah, they tried to take what Guardians did, where they inserted an era of music, which made sense, and then they just went with different spectrums of music from different times to try and reflect each character, but they didn't come across for all the characters.
And then, boom, Kanye.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Where did that come from? And it was so irritating
He's
to me.
definitely paying people to put his songs in movies, for sure.
100%. But it was really irritating to me because in Guardians, you could think like, Ain't No Mountain High Enough, right? I know exactly where in that movie that song takes place. But they're just throwing these songs at you for 20 seconds.
And they played the same song twice, and you commented on that.
Yeah. I was like, what is going on with this? I was thinking like there's a scene, right, where they're dropping it was right where Rick Flag is being flown on the helicarrier, and they're introducing all the villains into that deserty sort of spot where it's like the base
camp. It's like a demilitarized zone.
Yeah. And there's this music playing that's like this uppity sort of like jazzy sort of music, and I was thinking to myself, if this music wasn't here and there was just some sort of ambient music, how much more eerie would this be, this meeting of these bad guys? But this is what you were talking about with the different tones. It's like someone came in and heard
David Ayer.
Well, maybe not David Ayer. I feel like David Ayer directed a
gangster movie. He tried to make Spring Breakers with superheroes, is what this movie felt like.
That's a good comparison. I feel like someone came in. This is the same people that are saying that Justice League needs to be more fun and exciting and humorous, because I do get the sense that the score that the guy did, I can't remember I'm struggling right now to remember the composer's name.
Yeah, because he didn't have it like any song in this movie.
No, but the guy that did the score for this movie is really well recognized and did, he made a score for this movie. I think that someone came in and said, it's too dark. Let's add some jazz. Let's add some music that people really like from these different eras, and then people will be connecting to these characters even more. I think it would have totally made a way more sense for this movie to have one or two of those songs. I like the Bohemian Rhapsody at the end when they're all in prison. I think that works really, really well. But all the songs in the beginning where they're cutting between these character bios just felt choppy.
Yeah.
Felt so choppy.
It really did. No, I agree with you. There was something that happened, because you remember way back when we were talking about how they had to go back to do reshoots because people were like, make it more funny, because all the humor that was in the trailers was really well received. Mm-hmm. I think
bad guys.
I think when those reshoots happened, that was when we got our tonally different acts. You know what I mean? I think that's when like some parts of the movie were left untouched, and it did not come across as one clean slate through the whole thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I have written down tons of Guardian parallels. The team coming together at the end, the emotional sort of like
sacrifice.
Yeah, even then the we got a band together thing, the snarky comments between each other, and even the music. They use one of the same songs from the Guardian soundtrack.
I know. We got to do some character comparisons. So would Will Smith be Star-Lord, would you say?
Yeah, definitely Star-Lord.
Yeah, and then Margot Robbie, who would she be?
She's kind of a mix between Gamora and John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly. I was going to say Rocket.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's a little bit better of a comparison.
Yeah. Croc is Drax.
No, Croc is Groot.
No, Diablo's Groot. The sacrifice at the end.
No,
spoilers.
Guardians. It came out forever ago.
Great movie. You should go watch that instead of going to see it.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Go rent Guardians at Redbox and enjoy
buy it on Amazon. You would watch it over and over again. Show it to your kids. Everybody will like it.
So let's run through the cast, right?
Okay.
Give me your pros and cons. Give me your feelings about each one of them. So Will Smith, highest paid, running this show as Floyd Lawton.
Yeah.
As Deadshot.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I was actually worried about him the most going into it, and he pleasantly surprised me. I think he was as charming as usual. But when you have an actor of that caliber, he tends to overshadow everybody else. And in fleshing out his character, it left some of the other characters that I was excited to see completely thin.
My worry was that he was going to steal the show.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, we needed someone to steal the show because nobody else in this movie was like that interesting.
Yeah.
And the interesting characters, they didn't give enough time to shine, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Which moves on to Jared Leto as the Joker. What a disappointment. Not from a character standpoint, because I actually really enjoyed the Joker in this movie. Am I alone in
No. I liked the Joker a lot. I like how they keep trying to take different approaches to it. I'm still trying to get behind the character design, but that's not something that I'm gonna look too deeply in, because I did like he's very physical with his performance and stuff like that,
mobile,
and then,
moving around.
Yeah, and the
one
voice,
thing I wasn't
the voice I liked and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that he's in like 4 minutes of this movie, tops.
Yeah, probably less. And
if you were excited to see Batman again, it's even more disappointing because he was in like 35 seconds of the movie.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely like the Joker. The tattoo thing I got over really, really quick. The damage thing still gets me. I find that incredibly distracting, but you can tell that they sort of kind of blurred it out in different scenes.
Maybe.
The one I did like was the hand smile. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was really well put.
I didn't like that scene though with him and Common in that club. Common the rapper, and then that's when like Harley's like pole dancing.
Oh, I like that scene.
I thought that was just weird. I don't know.
I like the whole kind of like over sexualized vibe that I'm getting.
Well, it's not that. No, it's just that felt like that was the part that felt like Spring Breakers to me. Like, we're talking like James Franco versus Gucci Mane in Spring Breakers. That is exactly what that scene felt like to me.
Yeah. I don't know. I definitely got the vibe. Well, there was the part in that where the guy mentions Harley Quinn and says, "You got a real bad bitch there."
Yeah,
and it did.
That's common.
And it did one of the things that I hated about this movie, like straight up hated, was the color palette. Like they added a filter for a few seconds and
Yeah,
then
because it's
dissolved
supposed to be
it
like
away.
everybody's on drugs or something.
I was like, why? That is so distracting, and that totally removed me from everything that was happening. But then it goes back to Jared Leto, and I really liked his line delivery of the whole, like, he's almost, and now, don't get me wrong, I think he's doing it better, but it almost felt like he was taking some cues from Jim Carrey in The Mask.
Yeah, I could see that.
He like especially he's like, you now belong to this honka honka, like
Yeah.
he's very cartoony, he's very sort of animated.
I liked him, and that's like the staples for this movies. I really wanted to like Batman's involvement and Joker's involvement in Harley Quinn. I liked him as the Joker, but I want to see more of him.
Oh, definitely.
And I was extremely disappointed because I felt like they had a good chance to do Joker and Harley Quinn justice by doing the Mad Love Paul Dini story, where he created the origin of Harley Quinn, where she's like his doctor, and then like slowly over time he manipulates her into being his pawn. Whereas like in this movie, he's just like they're talking, and then the next scene they're like making out, and then the next scene he's like, I need you to get me a gun, and then the next scene she's jumping into a vat of toxic waste. It's just like they could have
disjointed.
If they would have had a Batman movie with Joker and Harley Quinn, they could have explored that more. But it's because the fact that they tried to make this into an ensemble movie.
And I really do think that the movie opens poorly. I think that it should have just opened up with the entire what you're talking about. We don't need these flashbacks of all of Harley Quinn's backstory spread out throughout the movie. I think what it would have been great is really ambient sort of weird opening where you get introduced to the two main. They're not.
There's no main character in this movie.
Another problem is that there's no main character, but it should have been Harley Quinn, and Joker should have been like the sort of villain in the background, and it turns out to be Enchantress, which
terrible.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Could they have picked a worse villain for this movie?
So far, she's the worst DC Universe villain.
Aside from the friggin' Fog in Green Lantern, she's might be the worst comic book villain I've ever seen.
Oh, Parallax Fog?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you forget about that nonsense?
I forgot about Green Lantern. I don't know which one I hate more. Probably Green Lantern. I still don't like that movie at all.
Green Lantern versus this?
Yeah.
Oh man, Suicide Squad is way better than this. At least it has some tolerable moments.
I'm trying to think. We need to talk about the worst supervillains sometime.
Yeah.
No, we'll make a list, like the top 10 worst superhero movie villains, because there's a couple good ones up there.
Yeah, but I like Jared Leto as the Joker. I think he was fun. I'm excited to see him take on Batman. I can't wait for that scene.
Yeah.
My problem, like you said, is that he's not given enough to do, and there wasn't the meeting scene for Jared Leto, right? And you would assume that would have happened in his first appearance, but I guess they're going to save that for
a Batman movie,
or when he appears in Justice League.
I don't
for
think
some
he's going to be
reason.
in Justice League.
That's so disappointing.
I think you can check this, but I'm pretty sure Leto. They asked him about it. I'm pretty sure he said the next time you'll see him is in a Batman movie.
That's so disappointing,
and it's so far away because he gets 5 minutes now, and then we have to wait 5 years. Yeah.
God almighty.
But there's also a report going around that he was upset that they cut a lot of his scenes out of the film.
We'll get to that because that's something up here.
All right, who's the next?
Really quick, let's run through these ups or downs because really...
There's one big one that we have to talk about in a little more detail before we can just go thumbs up, thumbs down. Because the rest of the people they don't have enough roles to do any of that.
Joel Kinnaman, Rick Flag. Was he?
Oh, I was going to say Harley Quinn, but we should probably talk about both of them.
Oh, okay. So Harley Quinn.
Yeah. I was at first I was worried that she wasn't gonna have like her Brooklyn accent like Harley Quinn does in the animated show, there was hints of it, but she sounded like Wolf of Wall Street, Margot Robbie, which is fine. She
definitely didn't sound like Wolf of Wall Street, Margot Robbie.
I liked her as Harley Quinn a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of just little things that she does that was the most entertaining part of the movie for me. Like
she has
when
good facial expressions.
Yeah, well, they're wheeling her in that chair.
That was my favorite
and she's
part,
just like laughing around and stuff like that. And then like they turn around and she's going up an elevator and they're like, God damn it, Harley, come back. And that's just what I wanted her to be. I wanted her to be crazy, a wild card, sporadic, and she delivered that. However, and this is a spoiler for the movie, which we've dived
spoiler
into some
alert.
spoilers.
Spoilers.
Like she picks up that sword at the end to like cut out the Enchantress's heart. It's just like, okay, so now she's the hero of the movie.
And we'll get to that climax here in a second.
But I liked how her relationship with Joker was just nuts. You know what I mean? Like they're texting the whole time and stuff like that, and she's just having all these fantasies about it.
Harley and Joker.
And they're just they're sexual animals, and they just want to hang out.
That's what made that club scene appealing to me, because the whole line about him she's the lust that burns with him, talking about, I was just like, this is so rad. We've never seen a Joker like that.
Yeah, well, that's because we've had Nicholson's Joker, who was he was being creepy Jack Nicholson, and then you have Heath Ledger's Joker, who's just a mad dog who just wants to cause chaos. Whereas this one's more, and they by no means is there a huge comparison, but he's more like the comic book Joker just because of the fact that he actually has an attachment to this one person.
Yeah.
But he's also crazy.
That they made him a mob boss, basically.
I like that. Yeah, but it was
cool.
This is it's just a 2016 mob, which I prefer the 1940s. That's why I liked him wearing the tuxedo.
Such a cool shot
where
of
he's
him in the tuxedo.
Shooting the guys with the AK.
I was hoping there'd be more of him doing that,
Yeah, and there wasn't.
There was not.
Maybe there is on the Ultimate Edition, which will probably be 30 minutes longer than this movie, and it'll come out in a couple months, and we'll sit down and watch that, and we'll pay $20 extra for it, and we'll be like, oh, wow, makes more sense.
Yeah. So Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag. Did you have anything to say?
He felt really dry to me.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? And he's supposed to be their leader. And I was just if I was Will Smith, I wouldn't want to listen to him either. He's not motivating me at all through this movie. And they're you need to be more like Phil Jackson, and it's just you'd think that by the end of the movie he would be more like that, but instead he's just oh, okay. He's yeah, here, I'll break the things that are going to blow up, but that's it. So. Yeah,
I was not, for some reason, and I'm sorry, Joel Kinnaman, but your accent is really distracting.
Yeah. Sounds like he's from Kentucky.
It sounded fake.
Oh, it is fake.
It sounded like he was, really? That is?
Yeah, I don't think that's what he normally sounds like.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, okay, that explains it.
Because Flag's supposed to be
get rid of the accent.
Rick Flag's supposed to be
homegrown boy.
Yeah, I can't, this is really upsetting me. I can't remember the guy that they made American Sniper about, Chris Kyle. He's supposed to be like that, know, an American homegrown boy from Georgia who is a special ops guy.
Yeah. But, all right, so Viola Davis as Amanda Waller.
She was cool. She represented that character really well. She was basically playing how Amanda Waller's supposed to be.
Okay. I don't know anything about that character.
Oh, okay, really? Well, she's a big part of DC Universe and stuff like that. She's always kind of like that. She's a government agent that Batman tends to butt heads with because she does things her way, like she did by making Task Force X. But I think she's also one of the most credible actors in this movie.
Oh, definitely.
So I liked her.
She had the same face throughout the whole movie, which kind of bothered me a little bit, but she's supposed to be rigid, so that makes sense. Yeah. So she did a good job. Now,
but I didn't like the line where she's like, "Do it, girl," and she turns into this witch thing. I was like, gosh.
"Do you think, girl?" Yeah,
yeah. Or another terrible.
There's
line.
just some bad.
Will Smith's just "You are evil." Yeah. I was like, "Did he just say that?" That's a terrible.
The worst line, which I just want to get to it right now. Where is he? Let me find him. Hold up, yo, where is he? He's not even in here. Yeah, Diablo. Jay Hernandez's Chato Santana. Diablo. His line where he's like, "I lost one family, I'm not gonna lose another one." That sounded like I seriously just put my hand in my face, and I was that is the
yeah. And he was probably the only member of that squad that you could get emotionally attached to.
Seriously, he has an okay backstory.
Yeah.
And his flashback scene was actually warranted, unlike some of these other ones where they just come out of nowhere. And also, I'm really, really sorry, but whoever played Will Smith's daughter was not working for me very much. She was fine in the end when they're doing math. Or whatever. They should have gotten Jaden and put him in a wig.
Oh, gosh.
Dad, can I be in the movie?
No.
Not in this one.
I'm dish, son.
Jai Courtney as
he was actually, because he's a terrible actor, but he was actually
I mean, Courtney kind of sucks.
The only part that I really liked with him is the parts where he's not talking, but he's just cracking a Foster's. He's drinking it when they're fighting. I thought that was really cool. Nod to the Australian heritage of the character. But let's talk about. There's a huge Flash cameo in here. It's not huge, but I was not expecting that. But I like how they're they're doing that kind of stuff like when Ant-Man goes to the Avengers Tower and Ant-Man and Falcon's there.
I had this cameo spoiled for me.
Oh, see, I had no idea. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, wow, they're actually doing this.
Maybe
And he's not like, Bruce, did I come too soon? Lois is the key, Bruce. She's the key. So that was nice. He was just like, oh, so you're a bank robber? And stuff like that. And I was
no
like,
honor among thieves.
yeah, I thought that was cool. Oh, yeah.
I thought the cameo was kind of lame. I would have liked to have seen a little bit or him do something
Like
other
fight?
than just show up and say a line.
Well, he's so fast, man. Like, maybe, it's just, he's gone in a flash. At least it wasn't a video recording on an email, okay?
That's true.
Yeah.
God almighty.
Who's next?
That movie. Can we talk about Adam Beach as Slipknot? Maybe the most useless character.
That's fine. It's one less person we have to worry about, and he's dead. So let's just move on to the
This is
next
Slipknot.
person.
He can climb any wall.
He climbs a wall, and then his head explodes.
Yeah, they just get him. God, that was so.
Yeah.
Another thing that a reviewer that I listened to brought up a really great point is that there are no stakes in this movie.
None.
Nothing feels, important. Really, it's just kind of like, there's a big blue light and the thing. And the other thing that bothers me is that why did this have to be such a cataclysmic event? Why couldn't they? That's
the thing that DC. I noticed it's like it has this huge laser and it's like cutting aircraft carriers in half.
Yeah.
And it's just like, can't we have a central, like a plot that doesn't affect the entire world? And because like you think about Iron Man. In the first Iron Man movie, he fights a small group of terrorists and then he goes on to fight Obadiah.
Yeah.
You don't have to have something that affects the entire world in every superhero movie. You can fight one person who's just causing problems for a select city. That's what the Dark Knight movies did really well.
Yeah,
and none of those things affect anything outside of Gotham.
No, and this is why it is such a disappointment. And I think the missed opportunity in this movie is that they didn't use Joker as the main villain. It would have been so smart to have these group of bad guys. Well, yeah, okay, but I think they're saving that for the Batman movie. But
imagine if the Suicide Squad was going out to hunt Batman or something like that. It's just, you could just use anybody else, but
that's cool. But using the characters that they have,
the worst character,
using the characters they have in the movie, the main characters, how cool would it have been for this group of people to go take down a mob boss as the Joker, and you have this love connection, this thing between Harley Quinn and Joker. They don't know if she's going to betray the team or whatever. Instead, they use Enchantress.
Yeah, well, in comic books, Waller uses the Suicide Squad because they're part metahuman for the most part to mess with the Justice League, who's the other opposing force. It's they'll use the Suicide Squad to break into the Justice League's headquarters and steal stuff from them, instead of we're going to use these people and threaten to blow up their heads unless they go fight terrorism, which isn't even terrorism. It's just this weird magic bullshit that's going on. It's Ghostbusters, but they're threatening to kill the Ghostbusters.
There is no Enchantress, only Zool.
I wish Zool was in this movie. Or Stay Puft Marshmallow Man would have been better than
that would have been
Enchantress.
so great. So another note I have written down here is that the whole, like I said earlier, I lose one family, I'm not going to lose another one. That stuff just feels so unearned.
They're not a family.
No,
not at all. They're forced to hang out. They're forced to hang out for 2 hours and kill a lot of people.
And all of a sudden, they're all best buds.
That's another
they
thing.
Shared a drink in a bar.
It's everyone gets mad at Man of Steel because they destroyed Metropolis. These people were murdering people who had these clicker things on their face. The Enchantress covered them in black goop, and then Will Smith kills 60 innocent people. And then they don't even touch on that at all. It's just you guys just murdered everybody. You're not heroes at all. You just killed a bunch of people.
I also have written down Killer Croc's script written by some sort of pro wrestler.
Really?
I don't know. It's just what it felt like.
Oh, okay. Well, I liked the character design, but
the voice really bothered me.
Yeah, I wanted him to sound like the Arkham games.
I almost wish he just stayed silent in the movie.
I also wish he was a little bigger. Never mind. He's a big disappointment.
Yeah.
Shame on you, Croc. Come back bigger.
And my last bullet point I have before we jump into a few of these things really quick and finish this episode off is that it would have made a kick-ass comic.
Suicide Squad?
I think so.
It does.
I think the plot of this movie could have worked way better as a comic.
Yeah.
And as a 50-page trade, just as like a mini story, I think it would have worked totally well as like a one-off. Here's the quick origin of the Suicide Squad leading into whatever, and then go from there. But as a movie, I just think that
Maybe don't rush the origin story as much if it were a comic, or maybe even not as a movie, you know?
I do think that Suicide Squad suffers from Spider-Man 3 syndrome a little bit, where there's too much going on and I don't care about enough of it, even though it didn't have Tobey Maguire, our saving grace.
Or James Franco.
Or James Franco.
Or Kirsten Dunst. Or anybody who's
God,
good.
that movie is so good.
I was hoping Gordon was going to show up in this movie.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yeah, J.K. Simmons.
That would have been such a good
I was
reveal.
hoping he was going to be the reveal, but instead we got a kind of disappointing post-credit.
Well, we also got Flash, so maybe that would
That's
have been
okay.
in his place of Flash. I would have liked to have seen that. I'm so excited to see J.K. Simmons as Gordon. I know he's going to kill it, man.
Yeah, he's a
gonna
good
do
actor.
Such a good job. All right, so from Reddit here, I want to bring up a little thing. There was a guy who said, I wish that I'd seen what the cut of the movie that this guy had seen. So before the movie was coming out, they showed some early test screenings to a bunch of different audiences. This is where we got some spoiler stuff, which I luckily mostly stayed away from, except for I got the Flash cameo spoiled for me, but that was
I feel like
2
there's
days
not
ago.
enough of this movie to have anything ruin the experience if it was spoiled.
True.
Like, they would have been like, oh, by the way, spoilers, Joker's only in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, oh, well, that doesn't deter me from seeing it, but...
So this guy, Daniel R, at Daniel RPK on Twitter, on May 20th, gave some early impressions from a screening that he had seen, and then a Reddit user contrasted them with his seeing of the actual movie on July 29th. These are a few of his tweets. Also, Batman has as much screen time in Suicide Squad as Spider-Man had in Civil War, much more than I was expecting. He also says, all thanks to David Ayer. Why isn't this guy directing Justice League? There's still hope for the DCEU. Suicide Squad was amazing. AMAZING with 3 exclamation points. Then, on July 29th, he tweets, I feel like some of the changes were made to put Will Smith's Deadshot more in front. Cut some of Joker's stuff, made his side story seem more pointless, some small plot changes, overall made the pacing kind of a mess. Also, he tweets, some of the changes they've done for Suicide Squad were just odd. They changed the order of some scenes, added more flashbacks. Also, it's amazing what small changes can do to a movie, is what he tweets. So here's a list of unconfirmed, so take these with a grain of salt, deleted scenes from Suicide Squad. In early cuts, the movie's opening detailed Moon's possession by Enchantress in real time. Reshoots reshuffled the scene to be later in the movie in flashback form, in favor of a new opening centered all around Deadshot. Deadshot in the prison cell watching the rain fall and thinking about his daughter was a scene. El Diablo observing the flame of a lit match before putting it out due to his vow to no longer use his powers.
I don't care about that.
Nope. Early interviews mentioned Captain
Ooh, fire.
Early interviews mention Captain Boomerang's racism and sexism, but the movie is light on examples of such behavior, which have apparently been deleted. Most of them are reportedly directed at Katana, to whom Boomerang is attracted to. Let's go for
Worst
Joker.
comic book relationship in a movie ever. You got boyfriend?
There was an extended scene of Joker interrogating Captain Griggs, including the line, I can't wait to show you my toys, which was in every trailer, but removed from the final movie. Joker and his men escaping after shooting up a restaurant. Harley, who is already affiliated with the Joker, follows them on a motorcycle and intercepts the car. Joker bangs his head against the glass in frustration. Also, Joker and Harley then get into a fight, which ends with Harley pointing a gun at Joker's head. Joker sweet-talks Harley into lowering the gun, charming her, and then backhands her across the face. Afterwards, he sweet-talks her again, and they kiss. Extended Ace Chemical scene where Harley jumps in the chemicals. More bits of dialogue by the Joker. Extended Batmobile chase scene with more interaction between Joker and Harley. One of the examples presented in all the trailers is the Joker punching the roof of his car, which I do remember. Also, Harley using her baseball bat as a mock gun to shoot at invisible foes, which is in the very first trailer, I believe. Extended scene of Joker breaking into the nanobomb manufacturer facility to arrange for Harley's neck bomb to be disabled. Remove several scenes with the Joker to repaint his relationship with Harley as more loving rather than abusive. Joker and Harley get into an argument, and after he rescues her in the hijacked helicopter, in early cuts, he reportedly pushes her out to kill her, and then the helicopter gets shot down. This apparently was reworked into the helicopter getting shot down first, and Joker pushing her out to save her. Joker returns during the final battle in the subway station, face half burnt from the helicopter crash, which apparently leads to a brief altercation with the Suicide Squad. He calls for Harley to escape with him, but she refuses for once in order to help her friends, and the Joker escapes after throwing a live grenade at the group. And it goes on.
So basically they cut out his entire role.
Basically, they cut out everything that they shot with Jared Leto.
get the Suicide Squad, the Joker cut.
So no wonder Jared Leto was upset in those interviews about his parts being cut. If you spent all this time filming these roles and you prepared for this role and you have less than 4 minutes.
And he's a method actor too, so like he went all in on being the Joker for like 2 years.
Jared Leto is an Academy Award winning actor. He is aside from Will Smith and Margot Robbie, like who else in this movie is like.
I don't want to do this in front of your daughter. Like, at least he didn't kill him or anything, you know?
But he's motionless in one of his, like, 3 cameos. He's just laying down on the ground.
He's dead.
Like, and Ben Affleck's thinking, he's like, I'm just getting paid, man. As soon as the day's over, I'm going to go to the bar.
You know what this is? This is $20 million
exactly.
of me sleeping.
And so we're sitting at the 45-minute mark. And so for the last little bit of the show before we close this thing out, I want to discuss to you the state of the DC cinematic universe.
Sure.
What's it called? The extended universe?
It's the DC extended universe, yeah.
And this is spurred on, so we've seen
3 of
DC extended universes movies, and we have a few more to come, specifically Wonder Woman and Justice League.
Next year.
From user to Janilla, I think on 2001 on the Reddit's movies board, which is really fascinating. You can go to Reddit and read it. It's still on the front page. It's stickied at some of these places. This person brings up a really interesting point, which is what will happen first, a Marvel Studios film that's critically panned or a DCEU film that's received well. They write, the lowest rated Marvel Studios film is Thor the Dark World with a 66% fresh rating. The highest rated DCEU is Man of Steel with a 55% rating. There have been 13 Marvel movie studios released thus far with at least 90%. Four movies have a 90% at least.
So what's that? Guardians, Cap, and Iron Man. That's my guess. We'll check that up later.
We'll check it. 3 movies have an 80% or higher. 4 movies have a 70% or higher, and 2 have a 60% or higher, and below 60, 0. On the slate from Marvel Studios as follows: is Doctor Strange, Guardians, Spider-Man, Thor, Black Panther, Avengers, Infinity War, Ant-Man, Captain Marvel, and the untitled Avengers sequel, leading all the way up to 2019. Jesus, God in heaven. And then there are 3 thus far in the DCEU: Man of Steel 55%, Batman v Superman 27%, Suicide Squad was 34% at the time of the writing of this post. On the slate for DCEU are Wonder Woman, Justice League, Aquaman, Flash, Shazam, Justice League sequels, Cyborg, and Green Lantern Corps, all the way up to 2020.
Green Lantern Corps.
Sorry.
Corpus.
So here's what I want to discuss with you, John, is... Does the DC cinematic universe have a chance? Because I think I don't think they do.
What do you think they're going to have to reboot it?
I don't think that they're going to reboot it, but I do think they're going to have to take
money.
Some time to reevaluate their decisions.
The
thing is, yes,
these 2 movies were all the way through almost all production phases before Jeff Johns took over. So like he's listed on these movies, but I don't think he had that much of a role in planning any of these things because they were almost already done by the time he took over as the head honcho.
Yeah. I think that, but that doesn't mean that the public is aware of that, you know?
Sure.
And what I'm thinking of is I'm not thinking of people like you and me who are satiated with comic book and movie news, and we know the ins and outs, and I'd like to think that I know the movie business at least a little bit and I can comment on it, but like the average Joe Schmo that went to the theater or didn't go to the theater because they saw the reviews or heard about the negative buzz around the movie, I think eventually this is going to start taking a bigger toll than they want, especially since Suicide Squad isn't going to be released in China, which is like the biggest foreign market.
Yeah.
And Batman v Superman did get released in China.
And that's why it made up a lot of money.
It's why it made most of its money back. And so my worry is because I like DC more than Marvel, but I like the Marvel movies more than I like DC's. And it's because
they have a better formula.
And it's because that they're usually more entertaining. I found myself during Suicide Squad like rolling my eyes or sighing from more or less of
you went to the bathroom during it. I've never seen you leave to go to the bathroom during a movie.
What happened when I was gone?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel scared to go to the bathroom during a Marvel movie because there's so many little tidbits that I could miss out on that make the experience that more enjoyable. This movie, Suicide Squad, was like 80% them walking down streets. And by by the end of it, I just started to get exhausted with it, and I was so disappointed because from the trailer, right? When average Joe Schmo sees the trailer, they say, "Oh, cool, Joker's in this. Harley Quinn, this is going to be awesome." And Harley Quinn gets a few great lines, and Joker gets less than 4 minutes and nothing super memorable for me outside of the hunka hunka thing, which I really liked. I like that. I like that line delivery. And I like the scene with him and Harley with the helicopter shooting.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I don't know, man. I think that eventually these comic book movies are going to be harder to sell to a mass audience because people are going to start becoming more aware of what they're being sold.
Yeah.
At first it was novel, and now I think it's starting to wear on us. And I love these movies. I'll see every single one of these just because it's something fun to do on a Friday night, or
Sure.
in this case, a Monday night, and just go hang out with your friends and talk about it afterwards. But I think Wonder Woman's the litmus test. Because Wonder Woman was...
It has to be good.
Wonder Woman was
be good.
mostly done with its filming, right, by this time. And they had done with the edits. Their principal photography was like done half a year ago. And that was before Batman v Superman even came out, right?
I'm pretty sure.
So that thing is canned. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. And there's no way they can change it. And no form of post-Suicide Squad sort of like coming in the studio like, we got to fix this and this and let's cut this and let's move this flashback here is going to fix
the problem is that with this movie is like, oh, this sucks, but the next one will be good. And that's what I said about, BVS. Like, it was disappointing. Suicide Squad looks great. Now I'm like, Suicide Squad was disappointing, but Wonder Woman looks really great.
Yeah. My faith in DC is really shot right now.
Well, yeah, it's completely shot. And Justice League isn't exciting at all. If Steppenwolf, the villain in Justice League, is anything like the Enchantress, which is going to be another world domination plot central
heavy
thing,
CGI
they're in
character
for some big problems
with a lot of faceless minions. And even though they were like real people, and I did appreciate that stake in the movie, they didn't linger on that long enough for me to even care, because I didn't even think about the fact that they were mowing down innocent people until you just brought it up.
Yeah, they're murderers.
They're just murder, but it's like these gross anamorphous like black creatures that it's like, well, we can't have blood in a PG-13 movie, so let's just make these black smoke things where every time you slice them, they just fall apart, right?
Sure.
Suicide Squad was boring, man. I just felt bored. So if I was going to rate it on the Radiovania 20-point scale, I'd probably settle somewhere in the 4s.
I'm going to go with 5.5.
5.5. I'd say 4.5, somewhere in that range, but... Like I said, the things I really liked, I did like. I liked the Joker. I like to see where this character goes. I like Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. I think she did get stiffed on some line deliveries, and I think that it was disappointing because the two of the best lines were ruined in the trailer. Mm-hmm. The best line, not line, but the best moment for me for Harley was the wheelchair scene. I'm so glad they didn't spoil that in the trailer, because that was one of the only times during this movie I like audibly laughed, aside from the random Kanye West appearance during Deadshot's training montage. But I don't know. Would you recommend people go see this movie?
Yeah, well, I want people to pay to see this movie so that they can try and fix their problems. But I would recommend it's worth seeing just so that you can formulate your own opinion and keep up with what's going on in this cinematic universe. Because you kind of if you have to see every Marvel movie now because it always ties into something later.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, if you did not see Ant-Man, when he shows up in Civil War, it would have absolutely no emotional effect on you whatsoever.
Unless you just like Paul Rudd.
Because you wouldn't care. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that, Sam Wilson's calling him Tic Tac the whole time, and like the fact that he's just like asleep in a van, like, that's funny because like what that character's like from that movie.
Yeah.
So to keep up with the cinematic universe, I would say go see it.
But I felt like I could have missed out on seeing Batman v Superman, and this movie would have still had the same effect, Because you see Bruce Wayne in that final scene, but he gets a dossier on things we already know.
Yeah, that there's people out there with powers.
That's another thing.
I thought it was funny that the Enchantress was in that folder, but now she's dead.
Hey, you gotta...
So why is she still in the folder?
They'll bring her back.
Clerical error, I guess.
Yeah. But, like, another thing that Marvel was so good at is the excitement formula. And I was like... We had plans to see it, Suicide Squad on midnight, but we were like, well, plans didn't work out. Let's just wait and see it some other time. With a Marvel movie, I would have been like, no!
Yeah.
The excitement is like being in the theater with all these people laughing and enjoying it, and the excitement is there, and the hype is there. And when you leave, you're like, I can't wait for the next thing because the end trailer tease was so good.
But this comes back to when by the time we were planning to go see it on the Thursday midnight release, we had already both looked at Rotten Tomato scores. And as opposed to a year ago, we were totally psyched about this movie.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, the same thing happens with every Marvel movie. As I look at the review scores for everything, and
Right, but they don't fail. That's the thing, you know.
That's true, but that says something about DC.
Yeah, well,
It has to. I mean, but the thing is that people. There's a difference between people looking at review scores and like just the score and saying like I'm going to hate this movie, rather than going and reading reviews from critics that you trust and then saying like, oh well, so and so liked it, I think I'll like it, or so and so had these problems, I usually agree with them, maybe I'll stay away from it. You know, it's a difference. You can't be so knee jerk. I do think that you should see Suicide Squad because if you got nothing to do on a Monday or Tuesday night, just go see it and like
it's better than anything out right now.
Sure. Well, maybe. I don't know. Who knows?
We didn't see Jason Bourne.
That's true. I've heard that is a heaping pile of trash too, though.
But
Matt Damon
punching that guy is
That's
pretty
true.
cool. But here's the deal with the DC movies: is they're like Bond movies. They're not all going to be good, but they're going to keep making them. That's my theory. they're
Sounds
in
like their slogan on the
right
box.
now. DC is in the Roger Moore phase of the Bond franchise. A lot of Roger Moore's movies were so campy and bad, but you know, like they're still semi-enjoyable for some parts of it. They're kind of in that phase right now. You know what I mean? Like Sean Connery Bond would be like the Nolan Batmans, and then the Roger Moore is like the DC extended universe right now. So
When did we get to Daniel Craig? Please give me some Daniel
you
Craig.
and I will be 40-ish by the time we get like Daniel Craig DC movies.
Yeah. By the time that Ben Affleck Batman movie finally is out.
They're gonna have to scoot that thing up.
Oh, definitely. That's a great point because
That's gonna have to come out in 2018.
the response to the Joker I've seen mostly positive. I've seen a lot of critics pan it, but like response to his character has been mostly good. I think people are going to start to forget about him if we go 2 years, right, with 2 DC movies and we don't see him once.
So
He's got to be in one of these things.
So do you want the Joker to be the main villain then in Ben Affleck's Batman
yes,
movie?
100%. Yes, give me a Batman Joker movie. It's been how many years since The Dark Knight?
By the time this will come out, it'll be like almost 10.
I'm not in the camp of people that says like Heath Ledger's Joker was perfect. Let's just leave it where it is and not do the Joker.
No,
for a while.
I want him to be the sole villain of a Batman movie, but I really want Ben Affleck to have like a series of Batman movies, and I think like starting out with your first movie with a different villain would be better. But at this stage, they have to give you what you want, and that's what people want. So they're going to have to take the Keaton route and go with the Joker in the first movie. And then maybe they can move on to like a Catwoman, and they should just do that. You know what I mean? They should have the Joker in the first Ben Affleck movie, and then Catwoman and Penguin in the next, and then the Riddler and Two-Face in the next, and then Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy in the last.
How about they do Arkham Asylum as
The first
Ben
one,
Affleck's Batman movie, and then the second one is Long Halloween.
that'd be cool.
Then you have the Joker.
Because you could have the
is-
Rogues Gallery and all of those,
Yeah.
without having to flesh them out completely.
All right,
Who would you cast as Harvey, real quick?
as Harvey Dent.
As Harvey Dent in the DC. Matt Damon?
No, God no. Who would I cast as Harvey Dent in Batman's solo Batman movie?
In this new DC extended universe. Yeah, in the Batman movies.
Carly and I. Hi, Carly. How you doing over there?
Doing great.
Yeah, we were having the discussion while we were at the beach of who should play Poison Ivy. Have you thought about your pick yet? No. I don't know who I'd cast for Harvey Dent. Someone good looking but sleazy. But someone that, like a politician. Someone that looks and talks like a politician. Maybe like... What would be cool is having Christian Bale play Harvey Dent.
That would be nuts.
And play him opposite Ben Affleck. That'd be I think that'd be a really cool
No, what
homage.
they should do is now that they've got them, and this is another problem it has, they blew the whole mystical element load in their second or third movie, whereas like Marvel's waited until they release like 25
Doctor
movies
Strange
to
to
delve
get
into
into
magic.
magic,
But now that they got it out of the way, like everything's on the table, so you might as well go full force. They should just bring in the whole multiverse part of the DC universe and just have Earth 2 Batman be Christian Bale and him and Ben Affleck fight. Whatever, dude. They're already bad, so we might as well just keep going nuts.
We might as well just make it crazy if we're making it big.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, John, that was episode... What are we on?
24.
24 of Radiovania, your DC Comics cinematic universe check-in. I'm not feeling too good about it.
It's disappointing.
Yeah, but I'm glad we got to talk about it. I had
Sure.
fun. I had fun, even though the movie wasn't that great.
Yeah, not good.
So we'll be back later. As always, you can check in with us at Radiovania. On Twitter, you can go to radiovaniashow@gmail.com to submit your question, comments, and concerns, or topic ideas, suggestions, or whatever you want to do. You can follow me at Zach Rotella. You can follow The Swan Song over at Dat
That
John
should just
Parker.
be my handle. The Swan Song.
The Swan Song? I wonder if that's available.
I'll check.
Yeah. Is there anything else I'm forgetting? Go to YouTube, go to radiovania.com and click the subscribe button. It really helps us out. The more people we see on that red thing, the more content we can make. We're making ad revenue. I think we're up to like 25 cents or something like that. So,
Yeah.
high five, buddy. Yeah.
25 cents. What can we get with 25 cents?
Maybe one of these days we can
A
buy like a
gumball.
Hershey bar. Yeah.
Split it.
Was it worth it? But yeah, thank you all for joining us very, very much. As always, keep it cool. Love you guys.
Go see the movie so you can rant about it.
Yeah, sure. Go to Twitter.
Bye.
Good night.